Well, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to Under a Bridge. It wasn't raining when I set off, and then, well, it decided to rain. So here we are, under a bridge. Although I do see that we are a little bit laggy, unfortunately. Like I say, normally we would start up at the top, so maybe it hasn't connected properly yet. I don't know, maybe we're getting interference from the bridge. We'll see. Zarden looks cozy. It's all right. It's keeping me dry at least. Like I say, I don't know how well you can see it coming down on the camera here, but it is absolutely tipping it down. So yeah, the plan was, of course, as always, on a Wednesday to actually go and do a walk, but unfortunately, as they say sometimes, best laid plans come completely unstuck. Pretty Bird, greetings, good morning to you. Next say welcome. I think is that someone else got stuck? Oh no, that's a pony. Thought that was a pony. I thought there was someone down there running because they got caught out in the rain as well. But yeah, this is what happens when you wake up and you ask, Alexa, is it going to rain this morning? And it goes, yeah, it's going to rain at about 10 o'clock. And you're like, excellent, I can go out, I can do a good morning walk, I can be completely fine, no problems. Here I am. AI that lies to you. But like I say, good morning though to everyone joining me today, stuck underneath this bridge. Surprised the tunnel isn't full of ponies. Well, like I say, I don't know if you can see them in the distance, but they are. I can see them. They're right down there. I don't know. Hang on. Let's see if we can get the camera. Hang on, it's completely washed out. Oh well, never mind. Captain Tyler, well done on triggering trying to get a Alexa device. Well, when you have the power to do so, why not? Right. Count Kevin, you need a brolly attachment for your selfie stick. That's true. I don't just need that. I should have taken a brolly in general with me, to be honest. It would have been a bit helpful, to be honest. Any trolls under the bridge? No. What do you mean? It's me. I am the troll. Oh. But yes, as always, welcome to be honest, a very, like I say, as we said, normally, of course, we would be walking, but unfortunately, like I say, we've been trapped. Oh, hang on. Here comes a train. Zoom. There it goes. Joe, good morning to you from Dublin. But like I say, unfortunately this morning we were caught under like I say, in this downpour. And like I said, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it is absolutely tipping it down. Ben Ridings, good morning to you. A good morning, Stan, that's new. Oh, comes another. Of course, that's something else we're going to have to put up with this morning. But oh well, we will endeavour to motor on. Good morning to you, Lee. Like I say, trapped. Because again, I don't think it's coming across on the camera, but it is absolutely tipping it down. The ground looks saturated. Yeah, it is. It's like I say, when it came, it just absolutely tipped it down. Diane, good morning from Texas. Please send rain. I have heard in Phoenix, Arizona, you're breaking all kinds of record temperatures out there. So yeah, do feel free to take some of our rain. But I feel that we're going to probably get those temperatures probably in a couple of weeks' time, because we normally do. But yes, Like I say, good morning, everyone. Like I say, and welcome to this, good morning stand, and a bit of a walk as I pace up and down the tunnel while I'm currently trapped beneath it because of the rain. So what we're going to talk about today? Well, one of the things I really want to talk about is the fact that you have had open Tory civil war. And this was all about Brexit. A great acoustic. Oh, good. I'm glad at least we've got that. So this, if you haven't seen recently, there was a select committee hearing about Brexit. And the big moments, of course, of this is like Marc Francois getting in and mixing it up with the committee chair, and essentially these Brexiteers completely trying to gum up the works of this committee. In fact, it didn't get any of its work done because the Brexiteers were just there, convinced that the entire committee had been gerrymandered so that no Brexiteer could actually get on to this committee to, gum up the works. Or shall we say, at least be vocal in their opposition about it. But the thing is, like I say, they're there in the committee, they're being vocal, so it's not like, they've lost their freedom of speech, but they gummed up the entire committee's work. The Labour's member was, I'm a bit confused. That was a good moment. I'm not going to lie, that was a good moment. But we'll get to that in a moment. So this whole committee, one of the big things it was discussing was the Windsor Framework. How is the Windsor Framework going? Is it being successful? And as we always said, the Windsor Framework was always going to be successful. The Northern Ireland Protocol was going to be successful so long as the government followed it. But, as we've always said, Brexiteers do not want Northern Ireland in the single market and customs union, which it currently is. So why do they not want that? Well, first of all, they don't want a comparison. And the thing is, you can already make the comparison, which they are very well aware of. So they are trying their hardest to try and pull Northern Ireland out of the single market customs union as hard as they can, regardless of the consequences, of course, of breaking the Good Friday Agreement and many other things that it would probably end up break and the consequences that would incur along the way. So if you look currently at Northern Ireland and you compare it to any other region except London, because, London's its own beast, and especially because of the financial services, which heavily distorts the earnings of London. Northern Ireland is outperforming every other region drastically. Now, why is that? Well, of course, because it's in the single market and customs union. And even if you want to take individual businesses, Northern Irish businesses have had far, far better years, revenues, earnings, growth, because I know the Brexiteers value growth. They talk about it non-stop. And because they've been able to maintain their access to the EU, being in the single market customs union, they are thriving, whereas the rest of even a similar business that isn't in Northern Ireland is having a very, very difficult time of it. David, good morning to you. So this is part of their desperation, that they want, in some way, shape or form, both the Northern Irish Protocol and now the Windsor Framework, they want it to fail. Like they are doing everything they can in their power to either show that it's not working, that it's failing, and that in some way this whole thing needs to be essentially just completely gotten rid of. That's why they were there, ultimately, at the end of the day, to, well, stick their 10 penneth in. And even Jacob Rees-Mogg, I don't know if anyone really explained it, but right at the beginning of the proceedings, Jacob Rees-Mogg stands up and actually tries to dismiss the entire proceedings, because he stands up and says, "Oh, but I haven't had, I haven't had the paperwork. I haven't had the information. So how can we properly discuss the important issues of this, of this committee when I don't have the right and correct information?" And the committee goes, "Well, it's already been out there. It's already been published." But Jacob Rees-Mogg tried to use parliamentary procedure to try and completely sweep away the committee and just delay any of its findings. So, hang on. Good morning, Cathology. Good morning to you. Ben Ridings is the last death throes of the Tory party. Yeah, well, it's not just the last death throes of the Tory party. It's the last death throes of the Brexiteers. And what you saw is open civil war over Brexit. Now, we haven't seen that really since the Theresa May years, but it does go to show you that the right wing of the party is absolutely still convinced and still committed to the whole Brexit, whole Brexit fantasy. Because this is whole, as we've discussed before, Brexit is all part of this free market fundamentalist ideology. And that's why, by the way, when we've joined the Pacific Partnership, even though we have to accept rules from Malaysia, Canada, Japan, as part of the whole, Pacific Partnership deal, that's why you're not hearing any of them cry about sovereignty, because all that does is lower our own regulations, and they are quite happy. That was a big part of why they want to join the Pacific Partnership, because it does help them lower, or at least use their whole argument of, oh, look, if we lower regulations, hang on, I'm getting rained on here, so I'm gonna have to retreat further into the tunnel. This is why the whole argument for them for regulations is, this is why we should do it. If we have low, or at least no regulations in this area, everything will be amazing, but that's not the case. We've seen plenty of examples throughout the years of why you should have regulations. And yeah, that's the thing. Where are all these people crying about sovereignty? Where are all these Brexiteers who for years cried non-stop about how we had to take and were forced to take all these EU rules? Where are all these sovereignty criers now that we have to take all these CPTPP rules? It just goes to show you what an absolute nonsense argument it really was. They knew what they were doing. They just wanted to get rid of regulation, and they knew that they couldn't do it, or at least make that argument, while they were in the EU, because no one would buy it. So this is yet again once another grand attempt at them to really force through that deregulatory agenda that they've wanted to carry out for years. So, is it stopping raining? Or is it? I think it might have. We might be able to venture forth. Although, this is a point where I wish I brought my wellies, because I didn't realise it would be this wet. But yeah. we can venture forth, but to be honest, I'm not going to venture, I think, too far this morning, because, like I say, I should have brought me wellies, not me walking shoes, because they're going to get absolutely caked up with mud. It is still raining, but very, very lightly. Very, very lightly so. I was about to ask about your bus. Yeah, no. I brought my walking shoes instead because I thought, oh, walking shoes would be fine, but no. This is definitely a welly type of morning today. Otherwise, they'll just get absolutely caked up in mud and get absolutely destroyed. Spade is burning in the heat. It's uncomfy. Don't stand still for too long, it'll sink. That's very true. Trudging through the mud, a bit like Brexit. Yep, exactly. Oh, it's yeah, it was interesting, and like I say, as someone said, the Labour. Oh, hang on. There's your train. The Labour MP, I can't remember his name, actually stood up and said, "Oh yeah, sorry, I thought this committee. I'm a bit confused because I thought this committee was meant to be about." Oh, there we go. I think he said it was meant to be about something else, not about, the Tory party civil war. And that's the thing that I've always been telling you, and I've always been stressing to you guys, something I've always tried to reinforce. It's been a perfect example of this whole fact that the Tory party is just ready. It is just ready to go to war with itself. And I know there are a lot of people out there that there was a lot of news yesterday about Labour was going to keep the whole two-child benefit cap. Now, I am disappointed in that. I will agree with a lot of people. I am disappointed. But I actually do sort of agree with Polly Toynbee that, no, not Polly, oh, I can't even remember her name properly now. Is it Polly Thornby? But she's an opinion writer in The Guardian. And I actually do agree with her. That, look, Labour at the moment, where they can't really do anything, they can't really fix anything, and to be honest, they are going to be inheriting who knows what. Who knows what kind of stuff they're going to be walking into. And I do sort of agree that they're going to have to make, unfortunately, some hard decisions when it comes to it. And it's going to be difficult, I think, for a lot of us to accept. I think there is going to be a bit of disappointment initially to begin with. But Labour can't actually start to fix this situation. And I think they're the only ones really who can really fix this situation, because they actually do have plans. We need to get them elected first. And the worst thing that we could see happen is that you have the left go out and demoralize people to not vote. I mean, remember, this Thursday, we've got 3 by-elections, which are going to be massively important and are certainly going to set the stage. This is going to set the stage for probably to think of certainly forcing a potential early general election. Because I think if they win all 3, because I think, there's the electoral calculus map, and of course tactical voting says, Labour for Uxbridge and Selby, and Lib Dem for, is it Farnham? I think the third one's Farnham. Oh, Maggie Pie, thank you very much. Yeah, Labour inherits a nuked economy, a fallout policy. Yeah, like I say, we need to win these 3 by-elections. And certainly, at the moment, it's not helping where you've got a lot of people, and I understand, don't worry, I understand, I get it. I get when Labour says, well, we're not going to reverse that policy. I know, I understand, I get the disappointment, but I'll tell you this now, a Labour government would be far, far better than the one we have now. Because at least they have plans, at least they have ideas, at least they have solutions to problems which the Tories would never put forward in a month of Sundays. This is where I never, ever agree. This is where I never, ever agree with this whole idea that a lot of people put forward. Even Mike Galsworthy put forward this idea that really all Labour are is another set of Tories. But the thing is, Starmer's doing everything he can to get elected. And Starmer can't do anything. He can't make changes unless he gets elected. This was the problem that Corbyn fell into. You've got to play a political game. You've got to play politics. And the thing is, there's a lot of people on the left who don't seem to understand that if you don't play the game, well, you don't get elected. Oh, we just walked right next to, did not realise we were walking right past a manure pile. Yeah. Oh boy, that's, oh, wow. That sure does smell. Oh, that's a bit distracting, that. You know, you cannot do anything if you are not in government. You cannot make changes if you are not in government. And this is what Corbyn fell into. He did not play the game. And because he did not play the game, his opponents outplayed him at every single opportunity. And it's why I've constantly said that Corbyn was a bad leader. He didn't play the PR game. And then, thus, his opponents played it for him. He really didn't make any attempts to try and, well, unite the party. And as a result, he led Labour to one of the biggest electoral defeats in history. And I always find it funny that these people who are still obsessed with the idea of, you know, Corbyn's the best thing since sliced bread, that they will crow about 2017. You know, oh, Corbyn got the biggest increase in the Labour vote ever. But he still didn't win. You know, it's shocking that they're willing to take ownership of that loss in 2017, but not a single one of them wants to take ownership of the loss in 2019. Because otherwise they have to ask some very deeply uncomfortable questions that they don't want to ask. And the situation, I will say this to everyone now, regardless of how badly they don't like Keir Starmer or anything like that, you are not going to get anything. You're going to get absolutely zero, nothing under another, well, Conservative government. A Conservative government is going to give you nothing. Whereas at least under a Labour government, you might get 30%. You might get 20%. you will get something, but it will be better than nothing. I'll tell you that now. Oh. And also, get out there and campaign. Join campaign groups that want to, do policy that you see. Go out and, campaign for things like PR. Join these groups and, do some campaigning. Write to your MPs. Make a conscious effort that either this or next year you're going to write to your MP, regardless of whatever stripe or colour they might be of their political party. Write to them, engage with them. Heck, go and see them in their surgeries. Just pop in and see them if you can. I think you'd be kind of shocked by the reaction you would probably get, because they'd probably be shocked by the fact that someone's actually coming to see them. But again, there you go. That's my political pontificating and soapbox done about yelling at people to get engaged. Oh yeah, and I saw someone bring up Nigel Farage's letter. And of course, bear in mind, this is only what Farage showed apparently on GB News last night, with his whole still feuding, of course, with, is it Coates? His former bank. What he has only shown is selected comments. and even Coates has come out and said, well, we can't really reply properly because that would break client confidentiality. So Farage is clearly taking advantage, showing, I think, selected snippets of, well, essentially parts he knows the bank cannot respond to, because again, they would break that client confidentiality agreement, and I think he knows it. I think that's why he's doing it. And of course, I don't know, did Dan Woolton get show his face yesterday on GBBs? I don't think he did. Tim Davis, good morning to you. But yeah, I don't think, or at least at the moment, Dan Woolton will be, shall we say, around for the foreseeable future. But we'll see what happens with all those investigations that now probably get called into him. And yet, where's all this outrage about, we saw all the stuff about the BBC. We saw all that stuff about that. Why aren't the people who are so outraged about that going after, or at least so outraged about the stuff that Dan Woolton's done? And as I said last time when we covered this, the whole point of that outrage wasn't about the fact that that had happened. They were using it as a cudgel to bash the BBC and using it as an agenda point to try and drive home privatisation. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens on that front with that, because I think only, like I say, the bylines broke the story, and then there was pretty much nothing from anyone for most of the day, and then the Guardian, I think, picked it up. But other than that, that's it. I did go on his I did go on his private Twitter server that he has, and oh my god, he's got so many sycophants supporting him, so many supporting him, just unbelievable. But as I've said before, you know, being you know, on the right wing of politics is like playing easy mode on online. Ugh. Yeah, I haven't seen his response yet, but I know he's probably going to say something like that, which wouldn't surprise me. But there are a lot of, and like I say, you must say at the moment, these are all allegations that are out against him. But some of these are dating back. Some sort of historical allegations, some to even more recently. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with Dan. We'll see what happens when how the right-wing media, especially, of course, GBBs, potentially handles one of their own with such allegations. But there you go. And like I say, as always, as I said, that whole story wasn't used for any other reason except to, well, go after the BBC, to bash the BBC, to say this is why we must privatise it. That's the whole reason why the right was so obsessed with that story. Because again, opportunity to bash the BBC. Oh, we love any opportunity to bash the BBC, do the right-wing media. And of course, you had all the usual defund the BBC crowd on it as well. And of course, anything that came out of once Dan Woolton come out, and of course, they've been absolutely silent. Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me. Typical right-wing hypocrisy when it comes to these things. But there you go. There you go. Any of the ponies? Well, unfortunately, they're all the way down there this morning. So they're hiding far down in the trees over there, unfortunately. And like I say, I haven't got my wellies on this morning to say essentially brave the mud. So, like I say, we've got to take a more easier path this morning, because like I say, I've got my walking boots on, not my wellies. Tim Davis, I'm more a fan of Angela Rayner than Kia. I've said this before. Angela Rayner is a massive asset. Massive asset. I think Labour are underusing. I really do. I think Angela Rayner has shown time and time again that she is very, very good in what she does. She's a very good speaker. She's very good at getting her point across in what she wants to do. And I said it before, unfortunately, Labour just don't use her enough. And I really wish they would do. We'll see what happens, of course, during the campaigning, during the general election. But like I say, Labour should use her, because she's a fantastic resource. And as I've said before, certainly a potential future leader of the Labour Party. She's proved her credibility, and that she's got the. I was going to say that she's got the mettle. To be able to sort of hold that position, and we'll have to see what happens if we ever do get to that stage again. But yeah, she's a good option. She's a very good option for sort of the leadership eventually. Because at the moment we've got Keir Starmer, and like I said, the last thing we need to do is get into an argument about leadership. Yes, that's the last thing we need to do. And as I was saying earlier, this is why it's so important to really get especially in particular these 3 by-elections for a win. Good morning to you, Daily Black. Yeah, good morning to you. No, we're not going that way, unfortunately. Like I say, we're trapped by rain under a bridge, so we've had to take a different walking route this morning. Because, like I say, I haven't got my wellies to brave the triangle. So, those 3 by-elections on Thursday, and then if they lose all 3, I'll tell you now, if they come back from recess and they've lost all 3 by-election seats, not only is there going to be like a constant, and I mean constant, Tory like fighting over the summer because of it, but they're going to come back into Parliament in September. And this is, as I've said, what we really needs to happen, because the only people that can really decide if a thank you very much, Maggie Pie, please take pictures of the Bondley triangle aliens. Yes, we'll look for the mysterious downed planes, many in the Barnsley Triangle. But thank you very much, Maggie Pie, for your super chat. Thank you very much. Ben Ridings, imagine the infighting. Exactly. This is it. Their infighting over the summer, I think, will reach a peak point. And then when they come back in September, they've lost 3 by-elections. If they are still absolutely tanking in the ratings and in the polls, if the sense from their conference is that Rishi Sunak did not perform, that he did not really provide a potential path to victory, well, you could come back with all these Conservative MPs coming back for September after the summer recess and just basically go and say, well, he should just call a general election. Let's get this over with now. Let's not delay the inevitable. And I've said it before, this feeling for that needs to happen in the Conservative Party, because they're already sensing the doom and gloom, and that many of them want that at least to hang on to see if things can get better. But the truth is, things haven't got better. Of course, the news this morning that inflation has sort of gone down, but that's not because of anything that the Tories have done. That's because the plan for bringing down inflation was for Rishi Sunak and Jeremy Hunt to hide underneath a table and, you know, cross their fingers and hope for the best. And as I've said before, I think there's going to be a cabinet reshuffle. There's a cabinet reshuffle incoming. There's a reshuffling coming, and it is going to be done, I think, of pure desperation. The reason why I think we haven't seen it sooner is because I think all the different Tory factions have been trying to engage in some serious horse trading to see, you know, who's going out, who's remaining in, and it's a question of when does it happen. Does it happen sooner or does it happen in September? As I said before, this is why I look at Conservative Home, because more often than not, they are quite right about these things. They have tended to be more on the money than they are not. So this really is the whole you know, issue when it comes down to it, is how much do the Tories come back and say we want to just get this over with now, just go for a general election. But we'll see what happens with these we'll see what happens with the of course the situation. But like I say, it's not like the Tories are doing themselves any favours. And then of course, as you've just said, the illegal migration bill. We saw that yesterday. What is it? The one barge arrived, and then the two others that arrived had to be returned to their owners because there was no room for them to dock. And then you've had the MP, I think it was for Dorset, of where that one barge has landed, has been crowing about the fact that they needed to do this, that this is what they need, that they need to pass this legal migration bill. But this whole legal migration bill that allows then the government to use these barges, he's like, as soon as it comes in, he's like, not in my constituency. How you can't put it in my constituency. Oh, that is just hilarious. Oh. Yeah, the Tories have no horses left. Well, that's exactly it. What on earth of you know, I've said before, there's just a complete dearth of talent that really is in the Tory party at the moment. So they're going to be massively you know, who knows who they're going to be bringing in, but yeah, refugee NIMBYism, exactly. The Swarm Lord, thank you very much for your video on the AI revolution. It didn't seem to do good, but I think it's because people are again sleeping on it until it's too late. Well, yeah, exactly. I've said before, I think this, the actors' strike and the writers' strike, I don't think people have really realised it, but this strike in sort of the history of this type of thing of, you know, AI replacing workers, I think this is just really the first of many such strikes that could happen regarding this. So we'll see what happens, but yeah. Michael Ford, what do you think of the two-child benefit system? I think you mean the cap on the two-child benefit system. Yeah, I'm disappointed. I'll agree, but to be honest, I don't really care, because I want Labour to get in power, and Labour can't actually improve the system or improve anything until it gets into power. I think a lot of people have been using this, as I said before at the beginning, like I say, sort of addressed this. I think they're using it as to well and really try and demoralise people from voting. And I said that's a bad thing, because, like I say, if you want to improve the situation, you need to get the Tories out. Labour actually have plans. They actually have things that they want to do, which would be a massive improvement. And yet, there you go. Like I say, I've already addressed it. Again, I'm disappointed, but to be honest, you know, I will judge them when they're in power. Currently, as I said before, Corbyn didn't play the political game, he didn't play the PR game, and as a result, he was completely outplayed and outclassed at every single turn. Keir Starmer, meanwhile, is playing the political game. He is doing the right things to get Labour elected. And as I said before, it doesn't matter how fantastic your policies are. If you do not get elected, if you do not get into power, it doesn't matter. So, you know, I will judge Labour by how they act once they're in power and what they do once they're in government. And I've said before, I'm expecting sometimes some of the things that they do to be a bit disappointing, but I'm expecting that because of what's happened, with the sheer fact that they are going to be inheriting a economy and a country that has been absolutely put through the ringer. So this would be hard for anyone to really walk into. It really would. So I am expecting sometimes to be disappointed by that, but to be honest, that's politics. I've said it before many times. In politics, you do not get everything you want. You never get 100% of everything that you want. And yet, there's many people in politics, or at least, well, seemingly on the left, who seem to think that no, that should be the case. But that's not the case. You've often got to compromise. You've got to look at, you know, well, the reality of the situation that you're walking into. But there's nothing to say that maybe if Keir Starmer gets into power and then maybe a year or two down the line lifts the cap on that, because they've managed to, you know, improve the situation to a point where they can feel that they can do that. And, you know, if you want to campaign for the government to do that, then I've got no problem with people campaigning for that. That's what I talk about all the time on this channel, you know. You should be, you know, sort of active and engaged and join in these, you know, campaign groups to help do stuff like that. You know, write to your MP and you know, and talk about that. You know, join your you know, you don't have to join the local Labour Party, you can join the Lib Dem Party or whatever. But that's what, you know, you need to do. But like I say, I think the number one issue is to get the Tories out of there. And to be honest, we need to deliver them such an astronomical defeat that they spend the next decade if not all more, completely and absolutely in a state of disarray. And the best way to do that is to look at the vote tactically. You know, Selby and Uxbridge vote Labour. I think it's Farnham. You know, go vote Lib Dem if you live in those constituencies. You know anyone who lives in that constituency, tell them that's the way they need to vote. If they want to beat the Tories, that's what they need to do. So, and like I say, if you do that, if you deliver such an absolute thumping victory against the Tories, certainly on Thursday, that's going to cause them even more panic. Very much more likely, I think, to bring about a potentially early general election. Certainly will demoralise the Tories even more. And yeah, should the predictions of them winning 100 or less, you know, seats come true, well, they'll fall into such a state of internal infighting and civil war that they will never be able to recover, at least for a decade or more. As I've said many times, this opens up a massive opportunity for progressives to get together from all sides of, you know, the political spectrum and start campaigning for you know, progressive policies and progressive ideas, and to really push for things like, you know, House of Lords reform, as I've talked about that all the time, to get PR done. There's a ton of opportunities that this will afford us. So do not underestimate the massive opportunity that absolutely, you know, wiping them out will bring, because it will bring a massive victory and it will bring massive opportunities, and you've got to have a long picture view when it comes to some of this stuff. So Morning. Morning. So, oh, hang on, they've got some ponies in the background. But yeah, like I said, we'll probably be talking about this. Probably, we're going to be talking about this probably for the for quite some time to come. So don't worry about that. That's for sure. But as always, thank you very much for joining me on this Wednesday walk. It's been fantastic as always. I think Graham is probably about to start live streaming on Labour Social, so you can, you know, switch on over to there. Tell him, you know, Hatman says hi. But yes, as always, thank you very much for joining me. Like I say, please do remember to click the like button and share button on your way out. Of course, down below there are my Patreon page, there's the YouTube thank you button, there's the buy me coffee link where you can buy me a coffee, and of course there's the Patreon page down below as well. And as always, thank you very much everyone for joining me this morning. As always, it's been absolutely fantastic, even though we were trapped at least under the bridge for the moment. Looks like the rain is going to come back again, so I'm probably going to have to dash back home. But as always, thank you very much for joining me today, and of course we'll see you all on Saturday for the Good Morning Walk, of course, weather permitting. If not, we'll do an indoor one. But as always, thank you very much for joining me, and of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.